Good morning, Richard.
Good morning.
Well, let me guess. There must be toilets on the agenda for the day.
Yeah, they always seem to follow me.
Hey, look, you're a pretty handy guy. Did you ever have an old plaster ceiling that was really broken up and you tried to patch it yourself?
You know, I don't think I ever tried to patch it, but then again, I don't fix my own car and I don't cut my own hair.
And that's a good thing.
I think so.
Well, remember the first house you owned? How much pride you had?
And no money.
And no money, but you would have done anything, if you'd only had a little bit of coaching, or if you could have asked this old house.
This must be my lucky day, a parking spot on the street. Oh boy, if I had to climb all these stairs this high every day, I'd be in good shape. This must be it here. Built in the 20s, I guess. City living. Hi, Lee.
Yes.
Tom Silva.
Nice to meet you. Please come in.
Thank you.
Adam.
Hi, Adam. How are you?
Good. Nice to meet you. Thanks for
What
coming.
a nice place.
Thanks.
Condominium?
Yep, we've been here about 3 years.
And you own it.
We do.
Absolutely.
Looks like you've done a little bit of work in here.
Yep,
Yep.
strip
Painting
some
and
wallpaper.
This is the largest room in the place, the living room. This is our master bedroom. We have a sunroom, an office, kitchen, and a second bedroom down this way.
Actually, that's the room we'd like you to see.
Okay.
We've got a ceiling in trouble.
Ceiling in trouble. Ooh, looks like you're getting ready to do something in this room.
Yeah, we'll be painting this weekend.
Ooh, we're up pretty high, aren't we? But tell me about your problem.
Well, we noticed that when we were prepping the room.
Ah, the old horsehair plaster that's is loose, that's for sure. Ceiling everywhere else is pretty tight. These ceilings are basically built on plastered on a series of laths, which are about 1/4 of an inch in thickness and maybe 1.25 inches in width. When the plasterer would come along and apply the plaster under the lath, the plaster would squeeze up between each lath, forming a key that would hold the ceiling to the lath. Well, with the vibration, or who knows, even maybe a meteorite hit the ceiling and cracked your plaster, broke the key.
Oh.
And that's what you have right there.
What do we do?
If you could actually go to the home center yourself, get some sheets of wallboard, fasten them to the ceiling. You've got to make sure you screw them into something good and solid, and you've got to tape and sand and fill and fill and sand and fill again. So it can be pretty messy.
I think that's a bit more work than we're able to put in.
Okay, then I think what we can do is we can simply reapply the damaged plaster to the lath. And if you want, we can screen it and tape it, and I think that you guys could probably do that.
Great.
Yeah.
That sounds like the best alternative.
All right, so you're up for that?
Absolutely.
All right, well, why don't you prep this room, and I'll go get the stuff that we need to do it.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Thanks.
Okay, let me show you what I've got here. I went to the home center and I went into the paint department and I bought these plaster washers. I also bought some drywall screws. 1.25 inches in length is what we need in this application.
Okay.
Drywall screw goes through the washer, and what we're going to do is we're going to screw this up through the loosed plaster into the lath. And actually, that's probably going to be the trickiest part. Adam, pass me that screw gun. Thank you. The hardest part is trying to find out where the lath is. I'm going to screw. If I was to miss one of these laths, simply take the screw out and move it a little bit, one way or the other, until you hit the lath.
Okay.
I think I'm going to let you guys try it. Okay, Adam?
All right.
You got turn. Now, the key to it is start slow. You don't want to strip the screw. You want to put some force behind it, and when you get near the end, keep it slow. You'll feel it grab. Go ahead. Bring it right in. Watch the plaster start to flatten. Watch the ring start to flatten. And now take your thumb from your left hand and try to push the plaster itself up.
Okay.
There you go. Tighten it right up. Oh, don't strip it. Just nice and easy. You're starting to get it up there. That's what we want to do.
What's this stuff, Tommy?
This is just regular joint compound. Get it at the home center. I applied it. Just dump a big glob on my hawk. Now, this is a professional tool. You can actually make up one of these with a piece of plywood and a dowel.
So you're going to go right over those buttons?
We're going to hide them all. We're going to go right over all of them.
How thick?
Not too thick in the beginning. It's going to be just right when we're done. Okay. All right, Adam, give me that piece of screening wire right there.
Sure, here you go.
This is, I also got at the home center, and all this is a screen door replacement for keeping the insects out. Now, the wet compound is the bed.
So the compound is just mushing through the screen?
Absolutely.
What do you think? Could we do that?
No.
Oh, absolutely. You could, and you will. Your turn, lady.
Okay.
Just feather it right out.
What kind of angle should I have?
That's good. Just let it go right up there because we're going to go over it all again with another layer. Go right over it again with your trowel. Keep your trowel flat on the ceiling. Drag it right out. That's right. The thicker you put it in there, the longer it's going to take for it to dry.
Okay.
Okay, Adam, right in that little void right there. Let's put some right there.
Okay.
Push it right in. Go ahead, push. Yeah, you're doing fine. Now go back and get that glob. Okay, Lee, let's just get rid of that little spot right there. Beautiful. Okay, I think we're done for today. You can't put any more buildup on there. So now what I want you to do tomorrow, if you feel up to it, get some sandpaper, sand off all your high spots. Take some more joint compound and fill in the low spots.
Okay.
Now, if you don't feel like sanding, a typical kitchen sponge, a bucket of water, wet it, and it'll actually soften the spots, and you can just drag it off with your knife.
Oh,
All right?
that sounds
Tom, this
great.
looks so much better already.
It does.
It's looking good. Carry on.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Hi, Adam.
Hey, welcome back.
Oh, thank you. Hi, Lee. How are you?
Good to see you.
So, how'd we do?
Well, we did pretty well.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, you sound like you're still both happy. You know, the best way to test the marriage is put two people in a room and let them paint it or paper it or even plaster it.
You're not kidding.
Oh, hey, this looks good. You're almost there. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'll give you an 8. One of you go up on the ladder and hold the knife tightly against the ceiling. Push hard and scrape off the high spots. There's not a lot to scrape there. Yeah, good. Right around. Yeah, you don't have to do the whole thing. Just anything that looks to you like it's hanging a little bit.
Great.
Now, we're going to fill in those voids. Start right on the old plaster, anywhere, and just drag it right across so you fill in the voids. Now stand your knife up. No, the other way. Bring it down. That's it. Now drag it right out. Now drop your arms. Drop your arms right off the ceiling. There you go. Now bring it back and scrape it right off fast. There you go.
Hey, that looks really good.
Now all you have to do, once it's dry, sand it lightly and paint it. You're doing a good job.
Wow.
Thank you.
Well, Richard, what did you think?
Well, I think that if I ever need plaster work at my house, I'm going to call Tommy. He's a pretty good teacher.
Well, I think he would trade you plumbing for plaster any day of the week.
That might be a deal. I have emails this week, Steve, and they all sound similar. Whenever I flush my toilet, it runs and runs. In the middle of the night, I hear my toilet running. So I thought we would do a little anatomy lesson.
Oh, great.
Give me a hand just dropping this down off the table. Okay. Well, when we tip it up, it starts right here. City water supply is right here, and this is the shutoff valve coming up into the bottom. Important is to turn that water off before you work on the toilet. Comes up into here, tip it down. This is a fill valve. And as the water level rises in the tank, this float comes up and it drives this piston down. I've brought a sample that's a little easier to see. So watch what happens. As it comes up, you see how it's driving that piston down? Goes up and down.
Now, how do you know that it's this valve that's leaking and not something else in the toilet?
Well, if you looked in the tank and saw the water level continuing to rise and going into this overflow tube, then it's either this is not holding or the float is bad.
And if the float is bad, what you see is just what we see here. People bend this and bend this and bend this, and I suppose what happens eventually is that this breaks, and that usually happens at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Absolutely, on a weekend.
Yeah. Now, is there anything in here I can fix?
Yeah, there's a washer up inside. So I'll show you how to take that apart.
Of course, it's really easy here on the workbench. It's
Absolutely.
pretty
Beautifully
tough when you're
lit,
doing it in the toilet.
Okay, so up inside here, let me just back this off. Now,
And I suppose each one of these valves is proprietary. Each manufacturer makes a different version.
right, it's a bit of a conspiracy, Steve. Every manufacturer has made their own special design. But here's this washer.
So that's what I'm looking for, is a new washer.
That's right, if you want to repair it.
Now I can get that at a plumbing supply house.
Yeah, and some home centers would have it too.
Wow, that seems pretty complicated. Now, what else can go wrong?
Well, the rest of the anatomy lesson is right here. This is the flush valve. And no matter what it looks like inside, it's doing pretty much the same thing. We need to lift a ball or some flapper to make the water in the tank go down into the bowl to flush.
Right.
And when it's done, it needs to seat properly right down here. Now, this has been all jury-rigged in here with wire, and we often see that.
And that one actually looks pretty good.
Yeah.
You can see some really terrible ones.
This is what a piece of wire or something.
So how do you go about repairing that? I mean, the rubber can wear out,
Right.
the wire can get corroded.
Right, and if it's all corroded or if it's out of line, it'll run and run and run in the middle of the night. Okay?
Repair?
Well, there's a repair, certainly. Simplest one is to do this. This is called a flapper, and it's really a universal replacement part. And this will drop down over this overflow tube. The careful thing to do is to make sure you don't put so much stress on this tube that you snap it off.
Because if you do that, then you got to break the tank from the bowl.
And what you really want to do is just turn it off and go to bed. And go do it the next day. All right?
That seems like a pretty easy repair.
All right, so now, and this wants to lift, and it drops.
All right, simple enough.
Yeah.
What about replacing this guy?
Well, tip it up and I'll show you. First thing you want to do before is you want to make sure all the water gets out of the bottom of the tank.
Right, and you got to sponge it out of there,
Absolutely.
else it'll
There's
spill all
no
over
easy
the
way to
floor.
get it out. There's a nut at the bottom that should back out.
Again, this is a lot easier
absolutely.
here in the loft than it would be in
yeah.
place.
Now there's the lock nut that holds it into the tank. Now sometimes you have to really kill yourself to get this thing off, and you have to hold it off inside. Just hold that in place. Okay. Okay, so now if you hadn't taken the water out of the bottom of the tank, you would know it at this
Yeah,
moment.
be a big puddle on the floor, and you'd be lying in it.
Honey, get the bucket.
And it's 2 in the morning.
Right.
You're really wondering why you did all this. So this just lifts right out.
That's right. Okay. So now, time for a replacement. What I generally would use is this. This is a brass replacement. They call it a ball cock. You can see the gasket down at the bottom. And this comes down into here. And then we'd reconnect the nut at the bottom. And the last bit is to get this refill tube to aim right into that overflow tube.
And you secure it, hook it back up, and you should be back in business.
Absolutely.
Now, on my toilets, this mechanism is all plastic.
Yeah, and more we see that. I brought a sample of that. This is a more modern version, which has the float is an integral part of the unit. So as the water rises, it shuts it off right here at the top where there's a washer.
Those pretty bulletproof?
Well, they're inexpensive and they seem to really work.
Yeah. Is there a repair?
Yeah, there is a repair. Pretty simple. Again, turn the water off. You turn it 1/8 of a turn. You come up like this, and you can see the gaskets right there.
there's a gasket.
Yeah.
All right. These are pretty inexpensive, under $10. So it pays to have a couple on hand for that 2 o'clock in the morning fix.
15 of them.
Thanks, Richard.
All right, see ya.
Maintenance, preventative maintenance.
It's always something to do, Steve.
Yeah, but it takes less time to maintain it than to fix it out in the field.
That's the truth.
So, what's in your mailbox?
Well, actually, I'm stumped.
You're stumped.
Well, I got a letter from a lady who's stumped. She wrote in saying, last year we had a tree removed from our front yard, and the tree company left a giant stump. My husband keeps saying he's going to take care of it, but it's been more than a year and it's still there. Is there an easy and inexpensive way to get rid of it?
Yeah, well, the old timers used to put a stick of dynamite under them. That would be inexpensive and quick.
What are my chances of getting a permit to do that now?
Just about zero.
Yes.
So what are you going to do?
Take a look. Well, this must be the house. Huh. And that must be the stump. Let me check in with the homeowner.
Well, this was a good-sized tree here, pretty big, and somebody told me, I think they said it was a silver maple, is that?
Like this?
Yeah, I think it was very similar to that, uh-huh.
That's a silver maple.
Yeah.
Now, those are in an undesirable tree because the branches are very weak and tend to break off. And you notice they're scattered all through the neighborhood.
Well, that's probably what was wrong. There was branches all over the lawn, and we looked at the tree, and it looked like it was rotting.
Yeah.
So we decided we better get rid of it, because I was afraid of a storm maybe having it fall over and hit the house. So they came, they chopped it down, and this is what they left.
Well,
I don't know
is
what
that
to
what
do.
you expected to be left with?
No, I expected maybe something a little bit smaller, a little bit narrower. I didn't expect to have this big stump here.
Well, think about it. The tree guy's just cut down the whole tree. He has to come in here, turn his chainsaw sideways, and go along and make his cut. So that's as low as he can go. This is called a flush cut, and that's just typical of what would happen in
Yeah.
the business. So, have you tried any options to get rid of it?
Well, we did call a couple of people to come over, and no one ever came over. They said they would come over, they never showed up, so it's kind of been sitting here for a year. We don't really know what to do.
Well, I'm sure you've been calling people who grind the stump. Some other options, though, other than grinding. The old days, the farmers would light this on fire. They just keep burning it until it was totally burnt out and gone. Lately, they've been showing chemicals that you can drill holes and put chemicals into the stump to make it rot faster. But even that takes another couple of years.
Yeah, not very good viable options, huh?
No. But I have a good idea for you. You and I are going to grind this stump ourselves. So come on and give me a hand.
Okay, sounds good.
There's our machine.
My,
Hey,
my.
what's your husband going to say when he comes home and the stump's gone?
Well, this is going to be a surprise for him, and he will be thrilled.
Let me show you how this works. This is a rental machine. This costs about $75 to rent for a half a day. You have this big wheel in the front with the teeth on it that turns around, literally nibbles away at the stump and turns it into mouse. So stand back and we'll get to work.
So this will all be gone, right?
6 inches below grade. The whole trick for this, side to side, almost like dancing. Take a little at a time. You take big bites, you'll get all jammed up. So grab a hold. So, what do you think? Nothing to it?
Oh, pretty easy.
You want to finish it, or would you like me to?
No, I'll let you do that job. Thank you. Hey, George, you're not going to believe what happened today. No? Do you believe in miracles?
Well, Tommy, I'm always thinking of you, pal. I brought you a present.
You brought me a present?
Yeah, some safety glasses.
Yeah, what's the big deal? Ooh. Hey, I can read my letters, Steve. What's up with this?
Well, they've ground magnifiers in the bottom portion of the lens.
Boy, that's a great idea. You picked out the right strength, but do they change? I mean, do they have different strengths?
Yeah, they've got different strengths, so as you get older, we can increase the strength.
Well, thanks, Steve. Well, now that I can read my letter, we got one from Peter, who lives in Durham, North Carolina. He says that there's a broken pane of glass in one of my kitchen windows. I've seen people repair broken window panes before, but I've never done it myself. Do I have any tips? Well, I do. The biggest tip is, yeah, safety glasses.
Safety glasses, sure.
Second is good pair of gloves that should fit snugly. And as you can see, this is our broken pane right here. And a towel or a rag that will fit over the broken pane. Reason is I'm going to break this with a hammer, and I don't want it to shatter. So, simply hold my hand on it gently.
So you're cracking all the glass out of there.
Yep, get it all out. Well, you can see it. Now, this is why I want the gloves. I can grab pieces, cover it with I always cover it with my glove because I don't want the pieces coming up.
You got some paper underneath to make the
Well,
cleanup a little bit
paper's
easier.
going to catch it all, and I'll just drag that into the barrel. Okay, Steve, just hold this up for a second and get rid of this glass. It's good to keep a barrel or something right close by. Now I'll put this back under.
Now you got to get the putty out of there.
Right, we're going to soften it with a heat gun. Pass me that heat gun right there.
If you don't have a heat gun, could you use a hairdryer?
Well, you could. It'll take a little longer, but you definitely could do it. Now, what I want to do is I want to protect the glass that's next to the mutton because the heat will fracture that glass. Now, I simply try to soften it by going back and forth because I want to do it gradually. I don't want to burn the wood.
Boy, that really softens it up. You can just pop it right off.
Right out, Steve.
Man, if I'd known that, I would have saved a lot of time during my paper route days
Yeah.
when I was breaking a lot of windows.
Not a good shot, huh?
Are there any lead paint issues when you're using a heat gun on an old window?
Yeah, this window isn't old enough. It doesn't have lead paint in it, Steve. It's a good point, though.
That is slick, Tommy.
Pretty good, Steve, huh?
Yeah, good trick.
Thanks.
What's next?
Well, now I want to put a thin coating of linseed oil around the perimeter to cover the raw wood.
What does that do for you?
Well, it prevents the glazing compound from drying out. The wood will absorb the oil out of it.
Now, I notice you're using glazing compound, not putty.
Well, we don't use putty anymore, Steve. Glazing compound is specifically made for this job. Putty will dry out too fast.
Now, you're putting glazing compound in before the glass is in. What's the deal?
I want to have a nice soft bead for it to sit on. Take out any irregularities or unevenness in the wood. Okay, let me get rid of some of this excess, Steve. You can pass me that glass. See how it fits.
Nice. Drops right into place.
Perfect. Okay, Steve, you want to pass me those galvanized points, please?
Points.
Right. This is the mechanical fastener that holds the glass to the wood.
How many do you need?
I need one on the short side and two on the long side.
And just slide them right in with your putty knife.
Absolutely. And now, we're ready to put the top layer of glazing in.
It really helps to soften it up before you try that, huh?
Absolutely. You gotta have good thumbs for this, Steve.
Hey, I'm all thumbs.
Okay, Steve, now this is where we separate the glazers from the non-glazers. What we need is a good, clean knife. And I set the angle, and I draw it off.
One swift, smooth gesture.
Right. To really get good at this, Steve, you really should do about 400 or 500 of these a month.
Not a chance that I'm going to get that good at it, Tom. It looks great.
Now all we want to do is let the air get to it for a few days, let the glazing compound skin over, then we'll prime it.
It's getting sweet now, Tom.
Getting there, Steve.
Well, Peter, you can break as many windows as you want because now you know how to fix them. So if you have any questions, send them in to Ask This Old House. Cards, letters, or emails. Until next time, I'm Steve Thomas.
And I'm Tom Silva.
For Ask This Old House. Looking good. Email your questions to our online address, asktoh@pbs.org, or write to us, care of This Old House Magazine, 1185 Avenue of the Americas, New York, New York, 10036. And thanks.